Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Lisa with Candles by Sincerely Ice Blue. On this channel, we talk about making candles, getting started in your business of selling your candles, and everything in between. If any of those things interest you, don't forget to click on the subscribe button below, become part of the channel. Love to have you in the family. So if you're like me, you are going in a million directions at once, literally all the time. Do people call you Superwoman or Superman? Do people ask you, how do you manage to do things? But you're still at the end of the day looking at everything you have to do and just thinking, there is absolutely no way for me to accomplish this. I have no clue how I'm going to get everything done. Well, you're not alone. So what you have to ask yourself is, are you busy all day or are you productive? Because that's what it comes down to. We can be busy and have those days where you're running around like crazy, and at the end of the day, you just think, wow, I did not get anything done. I didn't get anything I wanted to done. Why not? Something called the 80-20 rule, and I'm sure you've heard of it. And it applies to many different things. And in one of my other videos, I talk about how I used to train and recruit sales professionals. And one thing I would always talk about is the 80-20 rule, because it seems to apply to everything. 80% of the results that you're looking for every day only comes from 20% of the activity you actually do. Crazy, right? For some of us, we're literally busy from the second our feet hit the floor or even before, because obviously handheld devices, right? Your phone goes off, you've got to look at it, or your brain's just going a mile a minute and you look at your phone until you actually fall asleep for the night, if you actually sleep. And then sometimes you're even so busy that your mind is going all night long and you're not getting the quality sleep that you need so that you can refuel and go on and do more things the next day, right? Well, that's what we're going to touch on today. So let's get started because we don't have any time to waste. Okay, so again, if you're like me, you have a lot going on in your life. You have maybe a day job, maybe a day and a night job, kids, animals, other activities, social groups. It's just endless. And then you throw in the business of making candles or whatever your small business is, right? And there's so much that goes along with that because you have to make product and inventory product and order things to make your products and supply chains and just everything, YouTube and Etsy and paying your bills and setting up websites and social media and getting people to follow you and Facebook and Instagram and just, it is a lot. Our lives are not simple, even though they claim that technology is supposed to make our lives easier. No, it hasn't. I can tell you it hasn't because I'm old enough to remember technology when it was just starting out. And wow, it has just grown by leaps and bounds, and we all know that. Think about, just for a second, this is something I used to do with my sales reps too. Pause for a second and think about something that exists today that did not exist when you graduated high school or college. I'm sure your mind right now is going with a million things. Then I want you to think about something that no longer exists today. It's been replaced by technology that did exist when you graduated high school or college. The world is changing and we're ever moving and we're going fast. So how do you deal with it? How do you plan? How do you manage your time? First tip I'm going to give you is breathe and start with a plan. Start every single day with a plan. So that means before you go to bed at night, take some time to plan your day for tomorrow. What can you prep to make your day easier? Can you preload your coffee pot? Can you get lunches semi-packed? Can you set out everything for breakfast? Can you set out what you need to walk the dog or your workout items or whatever it is? How much can you prep for your morning? So that way when you wake up, you're ready to go. Also, don't forget to plan out everything you need to get done for the day, but prioritize that. So what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have a list of a million things you have to do, or you think you have to do, and a list of things you want to do. You need to actually put them down on a piece of paper or type them up or whatever works for you. I don't suggest using your phone. One thing I use is a nice little notebook, and I have a link for this in my notes. And you'll see it's a nice daily planner. And it gives you spaces to write your priorities for the day, to-do list, your schedule. And the one thing I love about this is at the very top, there's some place to write what you're grateful for. Start every morning with what you're grateful for. Fall asleep every night thinking about what you're grateful for. Don't stress about everything you got to do, because let's face it, you're not going to get everything done, especially if you're running a small business. There are very few nights we get to go to bed and everything on that to-do list got checked off. I also like this planner because it gives me the ability to write the date and time on the top. I'm not using a calendar where I'm flipping through days and maybe I didn't even get to fill in a day, or I just don't have time to fill in the day, but I'm not wasting my calendar. So I can write a list and it can be my list for the entire week. I can prioritize my entire week with one simple page or a couple pages if I need them. So how are you going to do that? Well, you need to actually think about, what do you have to do? I have to get my kids off to school. I have to go to my dentist or doctor's appointment. I have to go to my job. Those are have-tos, things you have to do. What are things I need to do or I want to do? And prioritize those. Rate them from 1 to 10. If it's a 1 and you don't get to it today, that's okay. You can get to it later. If it's a 10, you need to get to it today or tomorrow or wherever it is on your list. So prioritize, plan. Another thing I used to say to my sales reps is failing to plan is planning to fail. If you don't plan, you're going to just be running hilly-nilly, willy, whatever, and you know what? You're going to forget to get things done. Because the older you get, your mind tends to not be quite as sharp, or you're just as busy. You're so busy, you just can't do it. Don't rely on keeping everything in your head straight, because as intelligent as you are and as sharp as you might be, you're not going to remember every little detail. And let me tell you, those little details are what's going to keep you up at night. So when you're laying in bed, isn't that the time where you sometimes feel the creative? Things come up in your brain and you're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to remember to do this. And then you wake up in the morning and you go, what was it I was trying to remember last night? Oh, it'll come to me. And then you know when it comes to you? When you're back in bed the next night. So plan your days, plan your success, plan what you have to do. Once you have your plan set, now divide your day up into blocks. What do I mean by that? I mean actually set a time. So on this little planner, I've got a spot where I can write what I'm going to do between 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. for my whole day. Give yourself time. So for instance, I'm going to give myself an hour to work on this. At the end of the hour, if I'm not done and I still have 5 things I have to get done on my major, most important things to do, because by the way, that's how you should break up your day. The things that are most important on your list get done first. I think I said that. I'm going to reiterate it. So give yourself that time when you're planning. How much time do I need to do this project? 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. At the end of that time block, if you haven't finished it, and what you haven't finished can carry on to the next day, you kind of have to take a look at that. Do I have to do it now? Can I get back to it later today? How important is it? I'm reprioritizing what I'm working on because maybe I hit a bug, a snag, I can't complete it. That's okay. Sometimes you need to step back to be able to come back to it with a fresh mind. So, set up your blocks. So from 6 to 7, I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to do my morning routine, and I'm going to get on my treadmill. And while you're on your treadmill, you're only going to do your treadmill. You're not going to do anything else. When I get off the treadmill from 7 to 8, I'm going to take my shower, have my coffee, and socialize with my kids before they walk out the door. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And if you have to, set the timer in your phone. Because again, time gets away from us. Have you ever done that? You know the saying, time flies when you're having fun? Well, time also flies when you have a lot to do and you need to get through it all. So listen, while you're going through all this, you also have to be able to crush all your distractions. You have to be able to say no. And I know, it's so hard sometimes to say no. Try being on a diet and saying no to things that you really want to have. I know that that's how our world is right now. because you're going to be working on your computer. Maybe you're working on your website, and then you get a pop-up from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Somebody wants you to look at something. Somebody's got something they want to talk to you about. But you know what? This hour was supposed to be working on your website, not playing on social media. And it's really easy to get distracted. It really, really is. Because if you're like me, when I see my emails come in, I have to answer them. If I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie and I hear ding, I have to look. Or if I look down at my phone and I see the little number that comes up next to your mailbox or whatever the heck, or you get the notifications on your phone, like I feel like I have to look at them. Fear of missing out. I get FOMO. Oh, I have to look at that. No, you don't. I have to tell people no. I have to not respond. If somebody wants me to go do something, but in my calendar, I've already got something else planned during that time, and it's important, I have to stick to my plan. I can't put aside my plan to go help somebody else or do something else that maybe is more fun. Because what happens when you do that? Whatever you had to do doesn't go away. You still have to get it done. So now, if you don't do it the way you planned to do it, you're going to be stressed out later when you have to try and squeeze that in somewhere. And guess what? You have no time. And speaking of not having any time, what's the other really big thing we all do? Multitask. I know you said it. I know you thought it. Because all of us do it. We all say things like, I'm a great multitasker. I can do 10 things at once. You probably can. But the problem is, when you're doing 10 things at once, you're really not giving anything 100% of your time or your focus. So you're really not doing 100% of anything. You're just doing 20% of 10 things or 10% of 10 things or whatever you're doing. You're not doing it right. You have to stop multitasking. And I know, sometimes we can't help it. I'm just as bad with it because I'll sit on my day job on meetings and it'll be a horrible, terrible meeting. So I'll start multitasking and doing something else. And every time I do that, somebody starts talking to me and I have to say, I'm sorry, I was blah, blah, blah. Can you repeat that? And I was actually on a call this morning from 7 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. And I wish I would have tallied the amount of times other people on the call were saying that, because everybody kept doing that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, or I zoned out for a minute, or sorry, I was working on another project. Can you repeat that? You know what? It seems like we've all gotten used to doing that, and it's not necessarily okay. There are times where you're going to have to multitask, or you can multitask and you're really not taking away one thing from the other. But the most important things on your list, and even the medium things, those really deserve 100% of your attention while you're doing them. So setting those blocks, setting your priorities, and making sure that you're minimizing distractions. You know what? Flip your phone over. Put your phone in your pocket or in your purse or in your desk drawer. Turn off the volume. Step away from your laptop or minimize your emails. Do what you have to do so that you can focus. Another thing that multitasking has brought into the world for us is we tend to make more mistakes. So if I'm trying to do something that's important, like setting up my website and putting in pricing and putting product descriptions, I can tell you last night I was working on my husband's store for him, and I was listening to something. I was listening to like a newscast in the background, and I found out when I looked at the page I was typing what they said, I like zoned out. Have you ever done that where you look back later, or you do that when you're texting somebody or whatever, you just totally messed it up because your mind was doing something else? Another thing is you have to figure out what in your life is a time waster. So if I'm going back to salespeople, we used to call that busy work. And, you know, an example is I've got this list of things I know I got to do, but I really just don't have the energy to tackle them. I have to do them. I have to do them today. I have to pay the bills today. I have to figure out the budget today. I have to get that done or else I can't grocery shop. If I don't grocery shop, I can't make dinner. I'm overwhelmed. I really don't want to do anything. And I'm so busy. What am I busy doing? Oh, I'm straightening this or cleaning that or moving this or talking to this person. you know what? None of those things are even on my list. They're not on my to-do list. So I really didn't have to do them. They're keeping me busy, but they're keeping me away from my priorities. They're keeping me away from what I have to do. Listen, as a small business owner, you already are juggling a lot. You didn't just decide to do this because it sounded fun. I'm bored. I've got nothing else to do. I think I'll start a business. That's not usually what happens. Most of us, you're creative. Your mind's always going. And you are that person. You're energetic. And you wanted to do this. And I'm like, blah, all over the place right now because my mind's going a million miles. But that's kind of what brought you here, right? You didn't just sit around one day and go, yeah, you know what? This candle's really pretty. I bet I can do this. Let's try it out. No. If you're starting a business, you've got a passion somewhere inside to do it. But you also have an extremely busy life. Most of us have another job. Most people have a full-time job. And it's a full-time job where you're going to it. You're not at home. So you have to be able to get your kids off to school and go do your job and come home and do everything else and then get your business going. It's kind of like going to school at night. But instead of doing homework, you're doing business work. You're doing your business and launching your products and making your products and inventorying your products and everything that goes with that around everything else you do. Because those things are important and getting your business is important. But I can't quit my job until I get my business going. So you see how this is kind of playing off each other. You're not lazy. You're obviously not lazy, or you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be doing this and you wouldn't be watching my video and trying to get tips and understand how you can improve your life. And what I'm telling you today is really everything you already knew. But sometimes we need to take that breather and we need somebody that we don't know in our lives to give it to us straight. It's like being in a bad relationship. You don't see it till you're out of it. And then everybody says, I told you. And you're saying, I know. That's what we're doing here, is you're just kind of hearing me tell you everything you already knew. Because if you didn't already know this, you wouldn't have everything else you have in your life. And you wouldn't be busy. And you wouldn't be Superman or Superwoman or super person. You just wouldn't. You're here because you're successful. And we just have to help you streamline all the millions of things you're doing and get back on track. Because you want to be successful. You want your business to flourish. And there is so much you have to do every day. So how do we do that? Again, we just take these simple tricks, right? Plan your day before you go to bed. Don't wake up in the morning and stress about it. Have it ready to go. Have a plan. Work your plan. Don't get distracted. Don't get busy. And yes, I'm doing the dreaded quotation remarks because that's what we do. A lot of the times, that's what we do. I have to. Did you really? Because it wasn't on your list. You didn't plan for it. No, you didn't have to. You're just being busy because you don't want to do it. Don't you say that to your kids? Yeah, but I have to. No, you have to do your homework. I know. And last but not least, you have to have a good work-life balance. I know we're talking about all this, how busy you are, and you got to prioritize and this and that and the other. But in your schedule, you need to find time for you. Notice when I was talking about this, and it's upside down, that's great. Notice when I was talking about this, the first thing I said from 6 to 7 was, I get out of bed and I work out. Are you a morning person? If you're a morning person, the most important tasks of the day you do in the morning. If you're a night person, you do them at night. So I know I said do them priority, but I'm a morning person. So I'm up out of bed and running around like a crazy person, and my husband's still in bed. By the time he gets up, I've already done 10 things. He's more of the night person. But you have to recharge. I have to have time with my friends, my kids, my dogs, my Peloton, my treadmill, everything. I gotta have time for me. If I don't have time for me, I know you have all heard this before, if you don't fill the cup, you have nothing to give anybody else. If you don't fill your own cup, you can't take care of anybody else. You can't do your job. You can't start your business. You can't take care of your kids or your dogs or your parakeet. You can't do anything because you're just too tired. I don't want you to be too tired. I want you to wake up in the day energized. I want you to feel motivated. So last thing at night, again, I want you to think about what are you grateful for? And even if you had the day that was the worst day ever, I'm going to tell you there's still something you can be grateful for. And maybe it's just as simple as I got to have another day on this planet. Maybe you wake up and say that. Thank you for giving me another day here. But you could be grateful for, you know what? I decided to not drink that glass of wine and drank a gallon of water today. And I'm trying to lose weight. I mean, there's always something. So that's it. That's what I've got for you today. Time management. Learn how to set your priorities, plan your day, work your plan to be successful. Put that program in your brain because also, by the way, your brain achieves what you believe. And I know you've heard that saying too. So if I plan my day and I write this all down and I get everything set, do you know that when you go to sleep at night, your brain is still processing that? Your brain knows, okay, I've taken care of everything today. You're going to sleep better because you are not laying in bed thinking, I forgot, I have to remind me, do this. You already did it. You did it. Your brain can now be like an Etch-a-Sketch. You can lay in bed, you can tell yourself about your gratitudes, you can close your eyes and breathe. And if you're laying in bed and you can't fall asleep, get up and write it on your pad and go back to bed. Don't lay there and mull about it for 4 hours. Write it down. Get it out of your brain. Go back to sleep. You can do these things. And like I said, that's it. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. This all takes work. It all takes a reminder. Ask for help. Do what you need to do and be the absolute best you can be and get your business being the best it can be. So that's it. That's all I got. That's the third time I said that. Third time's a charm. So that's it. If you liked what I had to say today, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. We have so much more coming. I'm going to be talking about our store that's opened. Yay! Kind of opened. I got some other things coming up. I'm going to talk to you about getting started with Etsy and just some fun stuff. So again, click on that subscribe button, become part of the community. And like I always say, live your life out loud. Just do it with some structure tomorrow, all right? Have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.